Our daily word this morning as we begin a new week together, as we continue our journey through Scripture and the daily word and what it means for us. So, as always, thanks for joining me and carving out time to be with me as we share our lives together. We're beginning a new week, a rainy day today. We could use the rain though. Thankfully, at least here, we avoided those bad storms that they were predicting last night. We had a great day in worship yesterday. The Miami Shelby Melody Men were here. I didn't get to hear them, but everybody seemed to love what they do. And our own Russ Schmidt sung in that group, and I'm glad they could be here. I went upstairs to be with the kids to do children's church. They probably wish I wouldn't do it again. I'm not sure I was their best option, but we got through it anyway with lots of kids, actually. So anyway, this morning, as we begin our week together, our scripture that I've chosen comes from Matthew 11, verses 28 to 29. Now, these are familiar words for us. For us here, one of our prayer songs is "Come to Me," that we sing often, and it's part of this scripture is incorporated into that song. And I think it's a good way to begin Monday. And then, as I was already planning for this morning, I had an interesting conversation. So I'll come back to that. But we hear these words from Matthew 11, 28 through 29. Oh, by the way, today the word 741 today. Come to me, all you that are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Now, I have to tell you, reading this early this morning over and over again, the song "Come to Me" has just been ringing through my head, and I've been up and down the hall here singing the words to that song. But this scripture is a reminder to us that in the busyness of our lives and in the restlessness of our lives, sometimes you and I need to be someone that helps ease the burden for someone else. Now, that's not at all what I thought I would talk about this morning, except something happened early this morning. I went to Perkins for breakfast this morning, thought I would do something different. And they were busy. There were several cars there. There was a group in the back. There was a man in the booth behind me when he sat me, this young man, the waiter. And there was a man who came in a little bit later who he sat in front of me. Well, I'm not in a hurry, so I'm drinking my coffee and I'm working on sermon preparation for Sunday, which is what I always do on Monday. And working on that, well, the guy behind me left, and the young man, the waiter, went to clean up the table, and I could tell by his reaction there was no tip. He didn't get one when he checked out, and he didn't have one on the table. And then I sat there for a while and had a conversation with him about something else. Then the man in front of me left. He checked him out. He came back to the table, and again, no tip. Now, the young man does a really good job, actually. They were busy for a Monday. He was by himself, but I thought he did an excellent job. And so he was clearly frustrated by the lack of any kind of tip from the previous two gentlemen ahead of me. So it came time for me to leave. So when I went to pay for my bill, I got a couple muffins, one for me and one for Betsy, to kick off our Monday. And I got my bill, and he said, so if you could sign the top one and keep the second one. So I did, and he watched me. I saw him. He watched me. And so I gave him a $5 tip. Now, it didn't make up for the previous two guys, but $5 was a pretty large percentage if you base your tips on percent. And I heard him take a deep breath. And he said, thank you so much, as he saw me write it on there. And I said, you're welcome. I think you do a really good job. And he thanked me, said, God bless you, and to have a nice day, as I said to him as well. And I walked out. Now, I know that my $5 probably, well, it didn't make up for three of us. That's not much of a tip. But I was reminded from this text, sometimes it's me who needs rest, who needs to have the yoke taken from me. And I have had. You all know since Wednesday I've been carrying around, I have this thing taped to my back that's driving me crazy. It's coming off today, this trial. And it's been remarkable at taking my pain away. I've been in pain, no less than a 7 or 8 every day for almost 3 years. You don't always know it. I try to hide it well. But it's been amazing that this burden's been released. Last Thursday, when we had our cookout and our summer solstice, I don't know if people noticed, but I did that cooked all that food, stood up, walked around, gathered with folks, delivered hot dogs across the yard without having to sit down. And my knee didn't swell up. Yesterday, worship was so much easier to do what I did. The burden was lifted from me a bit. Now, I'm going to have the burden back on because the thing's going to come off. And I'm sure eventually the pain's going to come back, and then I have to wait for insurance to say, okay, we'll let him do this permanent thing and have some more surgery. Sometimes this is personal, right? We need the yoke lifted from us. We need to find rest. But then I think at other times, this scripture is a reminder to us, if we take this personal, if we've had our yoke lifted, our burden eased a bit, if we've found rest somehow, then it's up to us to use in humanity our ability to restore humanity to the community. It's a way that we can resuscitate, if you will, other people. Our hearts, our lives, our eyes, we're normally dulled by all the things in the world that just demand our attention, by the burdens of our own world. But yet, the ensuing kindness that we extend to others has the power to raise their spirits as well. Because compassion not only restores our heart, but it restores the heart of humanity. It makes healing possible in the lives of other people. Now, I don't take a lot of big theological credit for giving this young man a $5 tip today. I really don't. It was the right thing to do. But maybe, just maybe, my small offering to him would make a difference. It would restore humanity in him. It might resuscitate his heart just a bit, and his spirit just a bit. I've never waited tables. Some of you probably have. I've never waited tables. I always thought I would. I always thought I'd be really good at it because I loved it. Maybe I would talk too much and wouldn't get to all the tables I need to. It's a tough job, especially in these days, because there's not enough of them. And he was by himself, and there were several people today, which I was glad for him. It's this reminder for you and I. If we're to live full Christian lives, if we're to take it seriously, this idea that we come to God and God lifts our burdens. If we take it seriously that when our burdens are lifted, we should share that with others, rather than being dulled by the burdens of the day, that we would share our lives with others in a unique way. So I'm not bragging, not making any statements of chivalry or whatever that is. I'm just saying that our compassion, our humanity, our loving has the power to restore the heart of community and of an individual. So I pray that our burdens might be lifted, that we'll come to God as we need to, and then we'll share our lives with others. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for always being present with me. Enjoy the beauty of today, even though it's going to rain. Know of God's love that surrounds you and my love for you, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.